Hi everyone and welcome to this second tutorial on TouchDesigner, and today we're going to see how to create this text sequencer I posted on Instagram the other day. So it's pretty simple, it's just you type text in a window and then it plays the sequence letter by letter, and you can send information to a VST, to a MIDI device, and pretty much wherever you want. So it's going to be a tutorial free on YouTube, and the file is on my Patreon if you're paying for any paying tier on my Patreon, but the tutorial is free and it's the same content. So let's get into it. I'll first explain what is a sequence. If you already know, you can switch to the next section, and then so we are all on the same level. So a sequencer, for those who aren't familiar with electronic music, it's the same thing as a sheet music for acoustic instruments. It's the way you tell any machine, synthesizer, computer, it's the way you tell which note to play and in which order for which duration. So here it's 5-step sequences. Each circle here is a step. So when I refer to sequence, it's the entire thing, like all the steps together. And when I talk about steps, it's basically each circles. These circles can hold information. So when you play a sequence, you're going to examine each step and see, for instance, if there's a trigger. So trigger is the signal you send to like an instrument, trigger or sound or not. So for instance, here, this color indicates that there is actually a sound, like there's a trigger waiting on this step, but we're actually playing the first one. And when you play the sequence, you're going to read the first one, there's no sound. Then it goes to the second one, no sound. Then it goes to the third one, it's sending a trigger. And then like sequentially you get all the steps. And these sequences you can fire triggers, so just on or off for the notes. You can send like the pitch, so is it a high frequency note or low frequency note? It could be any parameters of your electronic instruments, but here we're focusing on just, is it firing or not? Is there a trigger on the current step or not? For our steps, in our case, it's going to be text. So in the example we are building, it's the letter E is indicating a trigger. If the text is any character, any letter, any punctuation different from E, it's going to be an empty step. So for instance, here it's letter A, no trigger, letter A, no trigger, letter E, it sends a trigger, A, and so on. So basically it's just examining each letter and telling, is it an E or not, does it send a trigger or not. Right now we need something that would resemble a tempo, so something to drive our sequence. In our case, let's just get an LFO, so low frequency oscillator. It's a chop, and I'm just hitting P to get my parameter page right here. And we just need a square wave, and we are going to use this square wave to have each cycle of the square wave will tell the sequence to advance one step. So I'm going to increase the frequency. So we have the LFO, and now we want to count each cycle. It's really easy. So I'm dragging a connection out of the operator, hitting tab while holding, and it's really easy. We need to count the operator, its name count. And it's already working. We have like increments of the value each time the LFO goes through a cycle. So 18, 19, 20. And in the parameter tab, we have a count tab, and we can set a limit. And we can set loop, like the behavior of the value when it reaches the maximum. So if I say I want my values to go between like 0 and 10, it's perfect. When it reaches 10, right now it's set to loop, so it will go back to the minimum value and start over. As we set our minimum and maximum while the value was over our maximum, it's leaving some weird digits like after the comma. So let's just hit reset so we're on integers. Okay, so this is the basic driver of our sequence. We need also a text input. So this text input, you could directly use that, like text that, just to have straight text, but I like to use text comp because with text comp you can make the sequencer work with live inputs. So while you're typing, it's updating in real time. Because this text component, so we didn't choose like a text dat or text stop. We don't want to display text, we want to like enter the information. And this text comp is made to build interfaces. And so this is just like a widget to display text and integrate it in like bigger systems. So right now we can't type, even if we make the window active, like the operator active with the plus button or with A. It's not like you can tap inside. We have some different things to like set in the operator. First is edit mode. So right now it's locked, so it makes sense that we aren't able to edit. And we want editable continuous update. So editable, just editable will be you type, and when you quit the operator, the value is updated and it's sent to the rest of the patch. But continuous update makes sense, it's just as you type, it's sending updates of the value. Okay, so let's leave derivative, maybe just for the TouchDesigner. So you see, you can now type in the window and it's working all right. And now what we need is to separate each letter. We need to compare each letter to check if it's an E or not, letter E or not. So we need to have like the text in a manipulable form in TouchDesigner, and we also need to like be able to separate letters and such. So let's take eval that. Oh, evaluate that. And this evaluate, we'll use it to get the content of the text. So into the expression tab, we're going to reference this operator. So op parenthesis, parenthesis, and single quote, name of the operator. So go into operator text1, and in this operator dot text fetch the text value, and it starts working. Maybe it's dot parameter dot par dot text. Yes, exactly. So we're referencing where is it? Yes, we're referencing this value here, text. So we need to tell that it's a parameter. So operator text1 dot par dot text, perfect. Derivative TouchDesigner, perfect. And now we need to separate each letter and put each and every one of them in a different column of a table. So let's take another evaluate that. On the first time we just typed op text1, but you can also drag and drop operators into fields to type that and not have to type the same, like op parentheses quotes. So you can just drag and drop into a field and then fill with the rest of your expression. So we want to take this eval and refer to its text. And then there's a function called replace, and we are replacing, so it's a function, so we have to put parentheses, it's a method. And we want to, so this method takes what you want to replace and what you want it to replace with. So what we want to replace, it's just empty string, so nothing between every, it's going to be between every character when you put nothing. And then it's going to be with a /. And then where do we want to replace? We want to replace after the first letter because we don't want a slash before the first letter. We don't want an empty cell before the first letter. And then we don't need after. So let's put from 1 to -1. So the last before the last. And now it's splitting all of our. It's like just not splitting right now. It's just putting slashes. Now we can get back to our convert that, and split cells at, put the slash, and now we conveniently have 1 letter per cell. I don't know why it's doing that, like 24, 25. It's just putting two extra cells every time. So I don't really know why it does that, because there's no trailing spaces after. So we're just going to correct that in the expression, and instead of -1, we're going to type -4. So we don't have 5. Oh wow. I think there's maybe line breaks or invisible characters after our after the last letter. So right now with this we are sure that there are no misplaced slashes, and we need to be precise with our sequence, because the number of letters is going to be the number, like the length of our sequence. So if we have empty cells, like for no reasons, it's going to be like throwing the reason out. Like if we need 8 step sequence, it's not going to be 8 steps. Okay. So right now we have like our counter, and we have our cells. Now we need to isolate our letters. Which letter is being read right now? That it's also really simple. It's an operator that's named select. So we select that. We're going to select what columns, and by index, it's the number, like the number of the column or the row, and that's exactly what we want. And we want to select maybe with our driver. So this is going to be what step of the sequence we are in. So it's perfect to select. When it's 0, is going to be the first one. So start colon index and end colon index, the same one, because we just only need one cell, and it's the one we are actually on. So select from the current step to the current step. And now you see that it's sequentially selecting the different steps. But right now it's stopping at 10, because we manually set the maximum to 10, but we want the maximum to be the number of, like the maximum number of steps we have in our cell. So we can also dynamically type this. Limit maximum, we can type, so take a look at the operator convert 1, perfect. And then there's a certain number of like information you can refer to, and for that we have a number of columns. So it's num cols, like this. And now you see it's 24. And we have 20, you see that we only have 23 here. And it's because there are 24 spaces, it's just the first one is labeled 0. So if we have our sequence go from 0 to 24, we have actually 25 here, and we only want 24. So I don't know if it's clear, but we need to match that. Here the numbers are starting from 0. And here it's just counting the number of columns, so there's one more, because the column 0 is also a column, so 23 plus 1. I prefer to just emphasize on this, because I want to be like very clear why I add or subtract a number. But right now we need to take the number of columns and do -1. For people into programmation and used to arrays and index, it's going to be really like obvious, but I prefer to yeah, to be cautious about that. And right now it's okay. It's you see that it's, let's increase the frequency. When it goes to 23, it goes back to the first letter. So we have really the basics of our sequencer. Okay, so now our letter is selected. We have to know, yes, is it an E or no? So with that, it's the only time I try to not use any scripting besides like expression, any real scripting in TouchDesigner, but that was it was the only way I could find. I tried. So we're going to use a script that. So we don't need. I don't think we need. No, we don't really need it to be connected. We need just a script that. And the script, we're going to use it to tell if there is or no, if the letter is E or not. So it's something I wrote, and I'm not really knowledgeable in Python or in programming, so tell me if there's a better way. There will be a better way, but so def here is like the method, like the function that's called onCook. So when each frame the operator is cooking, it's calling this function. So if we need something to happen each frame, that's where you will write this function. When you write Python, you need to be aware of indentation in your code, because that's how the code knows that what you write is part of a function or not. So if there's something not working, maybe it's just not at the right like tab. First thing we need to do is to create a cell here to display our number. So we're writing here script OP, script operator, script OP. So the script operator just above. We are not in the script operator. We are writing in the script callbacks. So we are telling the script operator to create a cell. So to do that, we are setting the size. So script operator script op dot set size. So we're setting the size of the table, and then it's going to be 1, 1. So 1 column and 1 row, or the other way around. I never know which comes first, columns or rows. But and right now, when we click outside, we see that it's created our 0, 0 cell in which we are going to like have our result. Then I want to set this cell to 0, and this is where maybe it's a bit inefficient in terms of code, but script op and then cell 0, 0. So I'm referring to the cell 0 by 0 of this table equals 0. And right now we have our 0. So I know that it's just reset if the condition we are going to write is not true. So we are going to check something, and if it's true, it's going to be 1. If it's not, it's going to be 0. So before I write this, I need to make sure that we have like a 0 and not nothing, and eventually turn it into a 1. So for that, we're going to write a like condition. If so just to make sure, it's if our letter, like the letter that is selected, is E, then in this cell we're going to write true, we're going to write 1. So the operator with the letter selected is select 1. So if OP single quotes select 1 and select 1, like in this operator, the 0, even if there's just one cell, we need to say that it's this cell we're comparing against. So if the cell colon 0 row 0 of select 1 equals, oh, well, I was in the brackets, equals E. So equals, there are two equals, is because we're not saying like this is the result, we're saying it's like a comparison, like Boolean comparison, and the result of that is not a number, it's not like adding things, it's just true or false. So if operator select 1 0 0 equals to E, so if the string inside that is the letter E, then 2 points, and then I go back and like with enter, and you see that there's a new indentation, so we know that we're writing inside the if statement. Like it's not the if statement, it's like inside the comparison. I'm sorry for my lack of proper vocabulary and programming, so don't cringe too much if you're an actual programmer. And then, so if it's an E, actually, we want to display a 1. So we're taking just the one we wrote here, script operator, same coordinates, but this time it would be 1. And then pass to end the function. Okay, should work. Oh, right, so it's working. Now we have like 1 that displaying when the step is an E, so perfect, it works. We're going to send the actual trigger to the VST, like to the sound, and then we are going to display. Okay, but basically, like the hardest is done. Like this was the actual part that took me time to figure out, like the exact sequence of operators, but like the hardest part is done. This is just fun. So open the palette, and if you have like up-to-date version, you should have VST Host. So VST is a virtual instrument. Now just close to gain a bit more space. We have VST Host, and VST Host is an operator that can open virtual instrument like you would do in Ableton or such, and send information from TouchDesigner, which is pretty awesome. When you go inside, so it's a comp, so you can just go inside by zooming, you see that you have like a basic, so where is it, display plugin GUI, you have this like basic VST, and we can send information from here. So right now it's just set up as a like test sequence, but we can just take advantage of this note info. If we play the sequence, yeah, it's just animating these values, but we're going to take our own pulse. So let's create first an input, so in. And at first I was not really aware of what in and out did in TouchDesigner, but it's just creating an input or an output for your operator on the upper level. So before there was no input here, but now that we put an in operator, we have like this new entry point into like VST Host. So let's convert this, because inside it's waiting like for a chop. So let's convert this to chop. that to chirp, perfect. And right now it's just changing the name, it's not changing the value. So first column is name, no, it's value, perfect, it's named channel 1. And we can wire this into the input we created and retrieve our value in the VST host comp. Now we want, like, the lazy easy lazy way, if we just want to test if it works or not, would be to use like to just replace the pulse but keep everything. So let's just rename our value from channel 1, so from whatever is inside, to, like, this is what it means, the star, from this to pulse, perfect. And then here there's a pretty convenient operator that's called replace, and it just takes the names of the second input, and if the name matches, it replaces the channel. So perfect. And now yeah. So it already works. There's no visual feedback, but it works. Okay. Maybe I'll just yeah, I just put a math here and multiply by 0, so we can keep the sequencer running, but don't, like, you won't have the music just non-stop. Sorry for that. Okay, so we have the input string, we have the letter per step, and we also have the connection to the VST. Now we're going to put the visual side. There's a bit of a trick for this, because we want to have the letter that's currently playing highlighted. So that's also a fun discovery I made on TouchDesigner. Let's take another text comp. So text, and you'll see why we'll use a comp and not a top. And here we want type multi-line and word wrap, because if the line is too long, we want it to return back and have, like, multiple line and not just go out of bounds. Okay, for that. Edit mode, we are not going to edit. Okay, and also formatting codes, we're going to turn that on. We'll see why we're doing that. Let's reorganize a bit, because these selected letters is only useful to check, like to check for the letter and to send the output, but we don't need here. Here we need actually just the unedited. No, not edited. We need this version. Yes. So what we need is this, like this form of text. Let's just straight input this into the text, just to have the letters and then color them to have an indication of which step is actually playing. So first step, just another convert, like we converted to have cells, but now we're just converting to have like text. But we need this version, like we couldn't just put this one, you'll see just why. So we want to convert to table, no, we want to convert to text. And then concatenate with /t, no, concatenate with nothing, just put all the cells back together, perfect. And for this text, we just want to have this dot text. Yes. So dot text here works with that. It doesn't work with other parameters, like with comp. It wouldn't work to put just dot text. It just worked because it's a particularity of that. That's a section of the tutorial I erased because I wanted to like do that and didn't. But it doesn't work with other operators. But here you can just type dot text. So perfect. We have the good text, and just to put it like behind. So right now you don't have like the blue circle you usually have to put in the background of your composition. It's because as it's a comp, it's just like it's made to build UI and to be reactive. It's not made to like render and all of that. So we have a workaround for that. So it's a top, and it's named OP viewer. So this one is just an operator. You can drag and drop any operator inside, and it's just going to like create, just visualize and put into a texture that you can further manipulate the content of this viewer, like this operator viewer. So let's just in the layout put maybe 180 by 180. Perfect. Same here, 180, 180. So we don't have any weird scaling. And click the display flag. You can have bigger text. So I want my horizontal align. So I mean my text here, text comp. The font tab of the text, like the parameters. Horizontal align left, vertical align top, and a bit of padding, perfect, and the font size, let's get crazy. Right. Okay, so right now it's all in white. Let's put a darker gray so we can have like white as a highlight to visualize the step. And now we need to set the color by letter. So you don't have any tool to do that, like in the operator, like in the parameters, you have nowhere, like there's no WYSIWYG interface, so you can just highlight a letter, change the color like you can do in other softwares. But there are something called formatting codes, and let's just... So text in TouchDesigner uses the slug library, and so it's actually what it's based on to send to the GPU like your string and have it displayed on your screen. And it takes advantage of the formatting codes in the slug library. Basically, it's going to affect everything like this. Yeah, it's better here. So you see there's a under for underline true, then some text and reset, and what's under those two tags is underline. So if you wanted to color a letter, you could set this color, then just let one letter, and then put the reset tag. There's a lot of different things you can get creative with, and so this is text formatting codes in the TouchDesigner wiki. So, and now we want to change the color of one letter. So by inserting like our expression between the letters, we could be able to set a color and then reset it and just have like one letter selected. The operator for that, it's pretty straightforward. It's named insert. Yeah, perfect. And what do we want to insert? It's a column. It's going to be in, like between the other. And where do we want to insert? At a specific index, because we want this index to change. Like we see, it's just something we can move. So what content do we want to insert? Simple, it's the formatting code. So curly brackets. hashtag color, parenthesis, 255, comma, 255, comma, 255. Oh wow. So red, green, blue values to the max, and it's going to be white. And we saw that our text here has become all white. And when we move the index, it's just making this move. And right now we are not resetting, so there's nothing to like make it back to normal. Let's just animate it. The index here, we want to take the same count, put it in the index. Yes, perfect. And we just have to reset. And it's going to be another insert. Exactly the same, it's going to be a colon, it's going to be at an index, and the content is going to be the reset code, so reset. And it's still a function, so we need the parentheses. And the index, it's simple, it's going to be the same index as the step that's currently playing, plus, if I'm not mistaken, plus 2, because it's the same index as the one we put, plus just the space that our previous expression is taking, plus the letter we need to set in between the two expression, like the color and the reset. So plus 2, and it's working fine. I don't know why it messes up the tracking when it goes to the T. Just maybe ask on the forum. But right now you see that our expression are just like yeah, it's just putting the expression between the letters. And yeah, one thing I did in my original Instagram post, so let's just put this, yeah, and we are going to make the screen flash when it's an E. So let's put a constant. Right now we want our source to preserve alpha, and we are going to create a background with a constant. Output, we're going to set over, swap operation, so our letters are so it just swaps the operation between what's over what, as we are making like a solid layer. And we can just use constant, we can just use this value, that's the one saying yes, it's the same, it's an E or it's not an E. We can take this value and put it on the alpha. Or maybe with the normal way, like the more convenient way, put like background. Yeah, perfect. Now let's get back the sound. Multiply 1. Okay. So there's one quirk with this method. It's consecutive is. You see that just consecutive is don't retrigger. The pulse stays high and it doesn't go down, so it doesn't retrigger each time there's an E, but there are some words with 2 E's, so if we put like maybe cheese, we should have 3 of them. No. Let's see if I was correct on the cheese pronunciation. So it's pretty simple. What we can do with this, I'm going to turn this down because we're going to go blind, but I can take this LFO, okay, with math. We have like a LFO that's going -1, 1. I just want to correct that and have just 0 to 1. And what I'm going to do is to do a multiplication between this value and this pulse. But yeah, to do a multiplication, it's with the math chop. We want to combine chops, and what do we want to do to multiply? And now maybe if we do that, so I'm just making trails for you to see. So this is the result, and before it was that. Length, just 1 second. So as the LFO is always coming back to 0, it's just resetting the step in between, so you can have 2 consecutive E's and still 2 or maybe more. And yeah, basically that's it. So if you want to go a bit further, you can check how to send MIDI out. So you can find a lot of tutorials on that, and it's just you need to have like external instrument or to make a connection between like Ableton. So it's a bit out of the scope of this video. But what I did for my video that you can also do is send different, like you can copy and paste like this and send another trig with a different note, and then you can have like different letters triggering different different notes. So right now it depends, like this was the actual not hard, because it's not hard, but less straightforward part. Now it's just, let's see what do you do with it. And yeah, if you post on Instagram, if you do things with it, either on Instagram or on my Discord, I'd be happy to see the result. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks to my 6 Patreons, so 1 more than last time. It's really a pleasure to have like support on Patreon. I don't have a lot of content right now. We're doing on Discord, on my Discord server, we're doing really fun challenges every week when we pick from a community-run Pinterest page. We pick random images, and then we have 1 week to recreate and inspire from an image that didn't originally came from like TouchDesigner or Creative Code. So it's really nice to expand our mind and explore different directions that we wouldn't naturally go in, like just opening TouchDesigner. And Patreon is nice if you want to have access to the files without having to do the tutorial. And it's also really nice to support my work. So if I get to a point where it can actually support me and make time for me to do more video, I would be very happy. For now it's still growing, so I'm really happy and really humbled to have like some supporters right now. But yeah, I hope some of you find this helpful. It was a bit convoluted, a bit long, but yeah, I'm still improving in tutorials, so I hope it wasn't of any help. And yeah, have a nice day.